And for radio...
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Dice Before Dishonor. When last we left our heroes, they had separated, segregated. Leon, our fly samurai, has stayed behind to watch over the druids that they all viciously beat upon, talking to a tree that really doesn't want to talk to him and finds Matt's interpretive Sylvan dance most amusing. Sir Winston and Bartholomew ride south, or should I say, return on the boat with the pilot to Casimir, and then begin the long ride back to Opara. Hopefully, they will be reunited with Lord Samish Gildervarth, who stayed behind in the last mini-adventure across the eastern Taladian border in, ready for this? Shocking news. It's not Quadria. It's not spelled Q-U. Thank you all for your angry Grammando letters. It's Kadira, not Quadria.
You just need to remember it like the Love Boat. Kadira.
I've said it before. I've said it too many times, and it's far too late in post-edit to fix it now. Hopefully Frank escapes. So, apologies to all those Eastern folk in this imaginary world, and the players who sent me very, very, very detailed information of what I could do with my Quadria and where I could stick it if I continue to mosh one of their favorite places for their characters to visit.
We had people that were angry about the Kadira Quadria thing?
No, I'm just pretending fans actually email us. No one emails me. No one cares.
Nobody loves you, Jeff.
Nobody loves me, and even worse, nobody hates me. No one even cares enough to hate us, let alone love
knows
us.
The sorrow he feels.
It usually begins with the angry letters, and then maybe you'll get some fans out of it.
Don't spoil it, Jay. I've been sending him all these emails.
He's making up emails and just sending them to me.
You just
Wait a minute. You're RM from all those angry emails? Yeah. Ryan Messina? I never put it together. And now I've got Love Boat stuck in my head. All right. Moving on.
You're welcome.
Now I have Love Shack.
You're welcome.
Stuck in my head.
The Love Shack. How do I get...
Amazing song.
There's a little sign on the side of the road that says 16 miles to the left.
16 miles to Kadira? Like, how are we getting Kadira from this song? All right. I think we began drinking far too early, waiting for the last member to show up late from work.
Certainly did.
Certainly did, some of us. And what are we drinking this evening?
Friday.
What are we drinking this evening, Matt? Any craft beer?
No, actually, I
told you. I told you to buy craft beer and tell certain people that we hope are listening.
Sleeman. What is Seaman?
It's Sleeman's.
You're drinking Sleeman?
So's Matt. I mean, so's Ryan.
I don't know if you can read that.
Bright cider, lovely tree.
Salute.
Yes,
that looks like your family. Is that the inspiration for your family crest?
Yes.
We've only talked.
Oh, Frank, that's so meta. That's actually cool.
We've talked only about Frank's family crest, and I can't wait to reveal the rest. These guys have been hard at work with their crayons, making up family crests to reveal at the proper moments, but not yet, ladies and gentlemen, till they have their banners and standards high, till they're recognized in Taldorian court. Because just because you are a cavalier, yes, you may be called sir. Yes, it even states that the courtly life is no stranger to you. To be recognized by the Taldorian government is to be a knight in Taldor, and your cavalier orders range far afield and beyond. And though the orders are recognized in Taldor, I reserve the right to call you sir, lord, or baron, or what have you, until the Taladian government recognizes you. In the player's handbook, you guys had the choice to take on some big names. The Vinmark name has been taken twice. The, I believe, Gildervarth name, which he spun off and took a sort of like throwback cousin and attached it to the Stavian name, the big name in the, at court.
Yes.
All brilliant. I just love it. And we have our completely made up and inserted into our version of Taldor, very impressive, the Dunaldagan name with a long history. And the Winston name that we know very little about. Perhaps it's time for another backstory. Let's go back in time. And as you pull the mask from the small gnome druid, it was the pilot of the boat, Mr. Jenkins, the entire time.
And I would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for your middling kids and your damn horses. And that damn dog.
That wasn't me. That was Aiden Holmes, ladies and gentlemen, our rules lawyer.
so good,
and emergence.
Sold it.
There's that voice acting you've been bragging about.
Yeah, and we've never seen until like 2 seconds ago. What? That was gold.
You've never
man.
given me the chance.
Never given you the chance.
As a home run, if I've
I
ever seen
begged you for it. We
I-
begged you for it.
And
All the
indeed.
characters that I've been
I'm
into
studying.
kind
I
of
got
been
nothing.
humans, you know.
Here's an emo Jedi. Aiden's like, I can do this. And then we're like, we put him in Clint's Core Classic, and he plays another brooding sorcerer that is like, argh. It's like, okay, one day, it's okay. He's learning. He's young, he's a new player, Actually, that's not true. We actually have footage of him playing, I want to say Fafal, but it's not. He's
Yeah, Fafal.
Is it Fafal?
Yeah,
The-
Fafal.
The Sylph Rogue.
The
Stuttering sylph.
The studying Sylph Rogue that we have footage of that's somewhere lost and possibly might make a Mythic edition. But anyway.
What's your name? Fall.
No, he doesn't have a speech impediment. He just doesn't like you. He's trying not to say fuck off. He's trying not to say something else. But some beeps. Anyway, big edits going in here. Without re-queuing, because the Scooby-Doo music has been heard. So a backstory is in order, gentlemen. Let's go back. Not far away, but back in time. To a younger, well, dare I say shorter Opara. When Opara was a bit younger, certainly not happier. The half-orcs and halflings entrenched in the serving class. A man going by the name of Winston named his son after his father and his father before him, a proud line of Winston halflings. His son, no different in name, no different in stature, completely different in demeanor.
Very muchly.
A now balding halfling man wearing a proper butler's uniform, standing over and glowering down at his only son. A waif of a boy, paper thin.
My boy, once again, you have confused the morning gloves with your evening wear. These do not go together. They're not the same color. How could you not understand? They just don't match, boy.
So sorry, Father.
Dude, that's awesome.
I
Keep that voice
I don't.
forever.
I was listening to Frank's like little voice with the brother, second brother, and it's like, oh, it was so hard that I kept peeing myself. But this is gold. This is gold.
So sorry, Father.
Oh God! All right, moving on.
My boy, so far, for our master, you have only proved an affinity with those hunting dogs who you say he treats us better than. The gardens, the stables, you have mastered all these. Now you must master the kitchen and the guests. Return to my wardrobe at once and rectify the situation. Pop, pop.
A young Winston Jr. rushing back to his father's wardrobe, climbing up the stairs, up to the attic where the serving class stayed, all crammed an entire family of halflings in one room, daring to share the same clothes, for their master barely kept a uniform amongst several of them. Their current master, one insert important Teladian name I'll look up later here, believed in three things. Wealth will support your station. Gentlemen are gentlemen, servants are servants, and reputation is everything. Winston Jr.'s father knows this. He has served this man for years. Most of his entire life, fathers have served their fathers. This family line. The Winston family knows its place. But day in and day out, young Winston Jr. questions his place. Young halfling now opening the wardrobe, staring down the different colors of gloves.
Oh, dinner gloves. Of course. Why can I never remember?
Quickly squirming his small hands into the father-sized glove, drooping like a certain mouse that we know at a theme park. Quick inspection, deciding that they are the proper pair, and whisking back down the attic stairwell to report for duty to his father. Coming into the hallway, he suddenly stops, pulls up short in a doorway to hear his father deep in conversation with their master. Even young Winston Jr. knows that the servants are to be seen and not heard. So for him to proudly announce himself or to show his face without the master's calling would embarrass his father. So for now he remains hidden. Can't help to eavesdrop on the conversation. Winston, I don't have to remind you that tonight's dinner must be perfect. The guests are arriving promptly at 7:30, and I want the Marlowe to be served in abundance. I look forward to loosening their tongues as well as their purses for the upcoming fundraiser.
But of course, Master. Promptly 7:30, the Marlowe, in abundance.
Yes. Now that I think of it, I believe we'll need all hands on deck. How is your son faring these days? Has he completed his training? I do not want a repeat of that embarrassment, the luncheon that we had in the garden 3 months ago.
I assure you, Master, my son is up and fit for the task, and at this very moment is in the attic practicing table-setting technique, as well as proper tray displacement over the head.
The Lord nods. Very well, but I need not remind you how important this evening is, and any embarrassment will reflect poorly on me, and punishment for that will be severe. The halfling that has served this man's father, and his father serving his father, and before that, gives the same understanding nod, the same acceptance of one's place in the world and the universe, and the same acquiescence of a greater power that one believes can do nothing about. Meanwhile, back in the doorway, a young Winston Jr. grinding his teeth in anger, a tiny scritching noise, too high-pitched for human ears, but for the halfling father, as soon as the master leaves, quickly rounds and descends upon the boy with great displeasure. But before his father can speak to him,
Father, why must we put up with this nonsense? Are we not a proud race? Why is our family less important than theirs? Our fathers have been serving this family for 3 or 4 generations, and they treat us like...
Son!
And they treat us worse than the dogs. Would this be my lot in life, Father?
Lord
insert name here.
is very proud of breeding his hunting dog stock, and although it pains me that you speak the truth, we must know our place, and dwell and be happy within it. There is honor in service. Why can't you accept that?
And then, taking a knee and resting a hand on the young boy's shoulder, his father bows his head and he says,
My son, the roads of Opara weren't built in a day. Generation upon generation of laborers of all races, side by side, built this great city. We all rise it up. Its tradition, its heritage, we're all a part of that. And you and I are no small part of it either. Do you understand?
He winks at him.
I made a pun about our size. Do you understand? I mean, more going for the joke, son, than the actual trying to pep talk. I mean, I'm a fucking butler. I'm not Yoda.
No, Father, I don't understand. I don't think I'll ever understand.
The young boy stomps away and heads back to his attic, leaving the father with his head bowed and a soft sigh. The scene follows the young halfling up the stairs, but as it transcends, the clock winds forward many hours, and by the time it reaches the top, the sunlight streaming through the pre-dinner windows, late that night, by moonlight, a frantic young Winston Jr. packs his meager belongings and has made up his mind to escape this provincial life.
I can hardly stand this life. I think it'd be best for my family if I was to move on. Poor father. How he could resign himself to a life of servitude is beyond me. There are greater things waiting for this halfling.
Using a pillowcase as a makeshift backpack and his trusty walking stick, young Winston emerges into the night from an attic window, taking his first steps.
Away we go!
Fast forward again, several seasons, where a teenage Winston, impressionable but ready to take on the world, has worked his way once again into service, but not with what he believes is a master, with a lord who he believes is a friend. Lord, insert other name here, is a bit of a reformer, very proud to take the first steps in bringing equalization of the races, bringing whatever rumor mill or shame upon himself in his own name, doing what he can to elevate the races. All those in his service, he did not treat like servants, paid them a fair wage, treated them as co-workers and equals, and insisted that they rarely called him lord, that they called him by his first name if they wished, and were treated to accommodations, room, board, and wages far beyond a servant's dreams. The man believed to be this first step. A hunter himself, young Winston, using his skills in the garden and with the hunting dogs to get in good graces with Lord Insert Second Name here, thought he was well on his way to carving a new life, not just for himself, but for his people. One fall, the Lord actually invited several of his employees on a hunting expedition to a cabin on the edge of the Verdurn forest. It's hunting season, and counting young Winston became an integral part and now houndmaster of Lord Insert Second Name here's household. At first, the hunt went well. The dogs behaved. The grouse and pheasants and wild turkey rounded up easily and aplenty. And for a week at the cabin, young Winston believed he'd found a new life. Until one night, the howling of a single wolf kept New Lord up. Hours she howled, tossing and turning and keeping the entire cabin awake. The next day's hunt, a little less fortunate. Less grouse, less wild turkey, and another night of endless howling from a lone wolf. By the third night, and a repeat of the last 2 days, Lord Insert Second Name here had enough. Winston, I am tired. A dangerous gleam he'd never seen in his master's eye before was upon the tired man's face. Tonight, we are going to hunt that wolf. Bring the dogs. And after watching his master anoint his favorite crossbow with a very special venom, became concerned, even for a wild animal.
Sir, is that really necessary? She may already be wounded by the calls.
Impressive that you know it's a she, the man says wearily after 3 days of no sleep. But he or she, I want it to suffer. Briskly striding out the door, crossbows in hand. Now bring the dogs. The rest of you. Lanterns. Winston, up front.
Right away, sir, right away. But, Idono, I may be speaking above my station, but perhaps vengeance over lost sleep is not a good reason to be going on a hunt.
The man dangerously narrows his eyes at young Winston. Tonight, you'll address me as Lord. I don't know. Come, we hunt. A short time later, and no small help from young Winston and his hounds, masterfully encircling the wolf, cutting it off, and finally closing in for the kill, young Winston notices something is amiss. The wolf is perched on a small hillock at the small crop of trees, a den perhaps, and it seems distraught, wounded, and the baying of the wolf is forlorn.
Master, tread warily. Something is amiss. She's calling. There may be a den nearby. Be wary of her mate.
What? Nonsense. We have her cornered. Hush now while I take the shot. Again the wolf howls in anguish. And then young Winston sees it, a wolf pup, emerging from a small tree at the base of the hillock, yelping as it had not been fed for some time.
Master, no! And young Winston reaches up and he just grabs, at the tip of the crossbow, grabs the bolt, like right behind the arrowhead and stops it from being shot.
Okay. Too late. Ka-chink. And the pullback of the crossbow is enough not only to release the bolt from the crossbow, but enough that the smallest nick on the edge of his hand and a single drop of blood remains as young Winston holds the bolt aloft, snatching it from the bow. Fool of a tuck! Fool of a halfling! What have you done? Hearing her pup, the wolf attacks one of the dogs directly, breaks free of the circle, and goes and stands directly over the pup. Fool of a halfling! What have you done? I've missed my best chance!
Master, no. This is not the way. We're better than this. Do you not speak of all races being equal?
Did you just compare me to a dog? Or a wild wolfling? Are you mad?
Winston's eyes just widen. He's aghast by this response.
Surely, Lord. No.
That is a wild animal to be hunted, and we are the hunters. It is prey, and it is foolish to wander into my domain. Now out of my way! Shoving young Winston aside, reloading his crossbow, and approaching the wolf dangerously and the pup at point-blank range. muttering to himself. Now you and your kin will suffer for this trespass. Angrily reloading, Winston knocked to the ground, realizing that his master will not only kill the mother, but likely the pup and whoever remains in the den. The dogs, confused, taking no orders from their master, await, again encircle the wolf den. Young Winston, with very little options left, staggers to his feet and whistles the dogs away. So it's
Sick balls, Ripper.
Caesar! Hippocrates! Brutus!
Plato!
Brutus! Plato! Hippocrates! Back! Heel! Good dogs!
Attack! Do my taxes! Very smart dogs.
Good Lord, this is nothing but a mother trying to protect her pup. If you would attack in this manner, you're no better than those ninnies in court you're constantly cursing.
Shakes him.
Okay. The Lord, seeing he's running out of time, with the dogs no longer encircling the wolf, the mother taking an angry stance, head lowered, begins growling and slowly stalking towards his lord. Bah! You have a lot to learn, boy. And before young Winston can act a second time, he raises his crossbow and shoots the wolf through the heart. It yelps, leaps forward, and the Lord steps aside, and it falls dead, tongue lulled, heart stopped, not just from the bolt, but from the venom directly injected into it. Young Winston, furious, fully flushed and fist clenched and raised, only now realizes that adrenaline has managed to stay back the venom that has nicked his hand, as he notices it beginning to turn purple and move, and the black veins appear, moving up his arm. There. Now you see? It's done. She's dead. And the rest will suffer for it.
I said, well, that sucks.
But before he can reload his crossbow and turn towards the rest of the den, young Winston, dashing through the dogs.
No, sir. It's just a pup. How could you be so cruel?
Dashing forward, snatching up the pup, with nowhere to go but deeper into the wilderness.
No, sir.
And he runs out, grabs the wolf pup, and disappears in the underbrush.
What are you doing, boy? Come back! Relying on his low-light vision, the lantern carriers giving just enough light for him to get away from his master, and the human's dulled senses. The young pup yelping timidly in his arms, confused. Young Winston does not have to go far to hide.
Trying to move silently through the underbrush, the little pup is struggling and whimpering. Winston just kind of starts giving him a bit of comfort.
There, little one. Don't worry, you'll be safe. I can't believe I fell in with a lot like that. I'll look after you. Don't you worry. Your life will be very good from now on. My master's cabin isn't the only shelter on the edge of these woods. Surely there'll be another lord out there who taken a houndsman who can tame even the mightiest of beasts in the forest. That's right. That's you. We're going to be okay. We're going to be just fine. First order of business. You need a name, little one. What shall I call you?
Yip, yip. The little pip, growling and snarling. Yippity yip.
Well, right then. Seems settled. Barkley it is. You and I are going to have some fun together out here in the forest. I promise you, we'll be all right.
The camera fades out, shaking its head no, left and right. Not so certain he's going to do it. Fast forward another decade, where a fully grown Barkley has won yet another show dog tournament and is now reigned the grand champion in all Taldor. Young Winston has done well for himself at Barkley's side and has grown fat not just on the profits, but on the luxuries that comes from the life of a breeder and a trainer of a star athlete. And we now award the Cup of the Grandchildren to this finest pedigree of husky all of Taldor.
Finest decision I ever made in my life, taking you in, Barkley.
And he hobbles on down, big drum of turkey leg,
yeah,
huge,
the big drumstick, and
takes a bite out of it, then hands it over to Barkley.
Barkley just rolls his eyes and goes back to his protein kibble. One of us is staying fit, Master. Never. Meanwhile, Sir Bartholomew, Winston sits, stroking his fishing pole, trying so hard not to go fishing again on the return trip. A wistful look on his face, and then his face goes blank, just looking over, petting Barclay, as if the two of them are having a private moment. He seems nostalgic, lost in thought for quite a while. And with Leon gone, and Varth never making this trip, you're left with no one to talk to but Nagrith and the old boatman. The boatman, navigating the large barge with a sort of rudder paddle as well as have you ever seen one of those long sort of poles that they sort of dig into the bottom of a river to drag along?
Like a gondola?
More like a gaff, I guess you could say, because it has the hook on the end for reaching docks and that kind of thing. But yes, also like the gondola in Venice. At the back of the boat, going from side to side, pushing along, letting the current do most of the work, because now we are actually flowing with the current instead of trying to go up it. The old man begins humming an old marching song out of Taldoran's history, something that arose, a ballad to honor one of the expansion wars. Marching soldiers, going on.
That song.
Eh?
That tune you're singing.
Yeah, what about it?
That's a soldier's theme.
Yeah.
You were a soldier?
Technically, no. But...
You were a messenger.
Exactly. A runner. Freight, messages, supplies. Not just up and down the Selden River out of Corsamir, but sometimes the river Parthmos, right out of Opera, and the Jarlin River. Why, there isn't a river in these parts of all Taldor that I haven't seen one side or the other.
So you served in campaigns then?
Oh, well, there hasn't been a decent campaign in over 100 years, sonny. No, but, Taldor still pours a budget into military.
Well, no army's worth its salt without a supply line.
Exactly. And, well, can't say it's the most glorious or interesting job, but you tend to pick up a lot of tidbits on the road, including... And then he launches into his horrible rendition of Taldor's Last Light Standing once again. And we're Taldor soldiers, and in the first light,
Nagrath can sing that song better than you.
The dawn.
No, don't. Here, let me show you how it's actually supposed to be sung.
And the camera starts drawing back as all heads turn to hear the baritone dulcet tones of Sir Bartholomew echo across the riverbed in what can only be considered one of the most beautiful, rapturous events to happen on the Selden River, but the camera pulls back so quickly to change scenes, we miss it. Coming back down on the map into Casimir, the old man drying tears from his eyes. Thank you. That really took me back to my youth. You're all right, sonny. Patting you on the back. I don't care what they say about your color, your skin, and your smell.
Neither do I.
It's damn right beautiful. Winston?
I seem to have got something in my eyes.
Even Barclay is like whimpering and holding his paws over his nose.
Well, we seem to have made port, and we shouldn't be raiding any castles on this side of the river.
A little extra research. I apologize to our listening audience that when our Cavalier party crossed the border into Kadira and then back again, the adventure said they get there, no worries, off you go. But the more I read, the more research. Thank you, Reddit, for insisting that I know my stuff. I'm stuffing my brain with as much Taldor backdoor, that came out wrong, with as much Taldor research and history as I can stuff. But trying to stay true to the adventure, yes, I know DMs can modify them. They got there without incident. But then they left a man behind. And Frank's character, Lord Gildevarth, was left behind, all alone, to talk to the poor mother who'd lost her son. Sent the sword onward with his companions to be retrieved by Romero Alcasti. And I couldn't answer questions about simple things like, is the June River large enough for a large ship? Yes. Yes, it is, ladies and gentlemen. You can go all the way up to Zamar, one of the last strongholds heavily fortified after the 524-year war that happened between Taldor and Qadira. But that's a history lesson for another day. Gentlemen, to settle quick arguments, I have purchased the official rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock dice. What? No one watches Big Bang Theory? Let me explain. These dice are both white, the icons on which are black for one, red for the other. So you guys can call red or black. I shall roll them, and the outcome is very simple. I mean, it's so simple. Scissors cut paper. Paper covers rock. Rock crushes lizard. Lizard poisons Spock. Spock smashes scissors. Scissors decapitates lizard. Lizard eats paper. Paper disproves Spock. Spock vaporizes rock. Rock breaks scissors. It's very simple. Any questions?
Clear as a rainbow. A double rainbow, even.
For example, Ryan, red or black?
Red.
Red. Lizard versus Spock. Lizard poisons Spock.
I win.
This will take the place of, what's your favorite dice? Lots of thinking. What's your favorite number? Odd or even, blah, 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 blah. We shall see if it speeds things up. So, when last we left our heroes, they were still apart. Leon, waiting to perhaps... What exactly are you doing with this tree left behind in this forest?
Well, my main goal is to get the beaten druids to safety and hopefully calm that situation down.
Well, they're safe now that the half-orc and halfling left them.
Yes, now that they're gone, it's safer, but I mean, they're still in unfortunate condition.
Well, they're in the middle of nowhere. Like, you're in a heavy...
Yeah, so get them back to, like, the Wildwood Lodge.
Oh, okay.
If I can manage it.
So we're just going to toss them over a horse and let them drip out, or...
Well, I figured they're both pretty small. I'm sure we could make it there.
Okay. Are you daring to head towards the sort of capital, as it were? Well, I wouldn't say capital, but the heart of the verdant forest? Wispel? Or perhaps upriver to Bellis? Are you going to head up to Wispel?
I'm planning on taking them up to Wispel if I have to, but I mean, if I find someone on the way that knows the way better and wouldn't require me to enter into areas that I'm not sure I'm supposed to be, that would be great. I'll just let them take them.
Well, the old Blackwood tree spoke of a ranger who's a real tool and piece of work. He doesn't seem to like him very much, but he is a ranger.
Yeah, that might work.
Okay. So awaiting a ranger to rescue them in the woods.
Yes.
Meanwhile, a few 100 miles away to the southeast, across the Jalrun River, take a turn south as it forks the river Quadrio, blah, 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 blah. Omash.
Qadira.
Thank you, in Qadira. Omash is where we left Lord Gildevarth, and you had studied scrolls, spent a time mooching off of the poor, distraught family, and finally decided to head home, yes?
Yeah, mooching. I was an honored guest. I was...
Sorry.
Trying not to impose too much.
An honored mooch.
An honored mooch, thank you.
Oh, here I thought you were sticking around to stick it to the widow chick. I thought you were staying to provide some comfort.
Comfort. It's the healing touch.
Yes, that would make Gildevarth like played in the movie version by Will Ferrell, maybe.
There you go.
Asking the widow to bring him meatloaf. All right.
Yeah. So I, read the books, heard the tapes, saw the pictures, kind of loaded up my pack, and then I'm ready to move on out, head back towards the homestead.
All right. 50 odd miles. You hit the river.
Wow, that's a river.
It is.
Is there any way that I can see upriver or downriver to cross to either ford it, or is there because I assume I'd be traveling kind of on a road, so is there a ferry?
At the moment, it's not affordable. Get it? Yeah, thank you.
Oh.
But fine, it's a deep river, as I said before. However, people do make livings getting people across this river. And unfortunately, with Zamir, a mere 50 odd miles away from where you are crossing, the pirate captains of Zamir come out up down the river and into the southeast portion of the inner sea. Privateers with letters of marque from the Taldorian crown to harass, destroy, engulf, and assimilate, thank you for the boat, your crew is now our crew, both Kadiran and Kellish merchant ships.
Well, it's a good thing I'm not a merchant ship.
It is. However, when you come to the river, you come upon a scene of one such deeply in trouble merchant ship. Life raft's already rowing away and has been overtaken by a large galley. She's being boarded, and the cavalier within you just won't have it.
That's right. I'm going to ride my horse right out into that water. If only my kingdom for horseshoes of the Ziffer. Water walking.
Not
horseshoes.
today. However, you could intercept the lifeboat, which is going to make sure not a couple hundred yards from your position.
I will move to do so then.
Okay.
Come on, Vicky. Let's get him.
Riding like the wind down the beach, survivors of the merchant ship, a few merchants and a handful of crew, scrabble out of the boat. The crew, 2 or 3 remain, immediately begin rowing and pushing the boat back towards the scene. Perhaps they're looking for survivors or people that jumped and swam for it, but bravely looks like they've dropped off some civilians and a few crew, and they are headed directly back into the fray as you ride up. Everyone turns upon you, wondering if you are friend or foe. The Taladian heritage mark on your pale face and beard are obvious, but wielding a shield of their goddess, which technically is illegal in Taldor, confuses them.
Let's see. Well, my shield probably, since I'm riding, would probably be slung under the side, but you could still see it fairly clearly. Right up onto them, and if they don't look, openly hostile, I will identify myself.
This is a Kadiran crew and Kadiran merchants that have been hostiled and have made escape from their merchant ship, which is currently partly aflame now and definitely boarded by a hostile-looking Taladian galleon. Or galley, sorry.
So, let's see. Kadira, what language do they speak?
Kellish.
What language? Kellish? Okay. So, in Kellish...
Is there a Kadiran language?
I will... I wasn't certain. I do speak Kellish.
There's a Kellish, which is like Arabia. There's an Osirian language, 2 of them, which is like Egyptian. And then I've kind of always put the Kadirian sort of like a Persia, Turkey kind of culture by the look of it.
They speak both Taldane and Kellish.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Taldane being common, apparently, in
Yes.
the D&D world.
Okay. So, I will ride up, and in Kellish, I will identify myself. Baklava. Say, I am Lord Samesh Gildervarth, and I come in peace. Are any of you injured? Durka Mohammed Jihad.
Yeah.
Much better.
Yep.
I do have the page up where it states how it is spoken. It's a very throaty, phlegmatic language, rich with
Yes, it's like Arabic,
yeah.
which actually means, Matt, your Sylvan really did sound like what it would sound like.
No. What's done is done. Let's not trash episodes that I've already spent hours editing. No. Let's not go back there. As bad as my tree impression sounded, as amazing as the interpretive dance, which you cannot see on a podcast, Matt dancing around his living room.
I really felt I was speaking to the trees.
He was. He was more interested in you than the samurai anyway. What is done is done. However, that last bit, Frank, was great.
All right, so I ride up on the guys, and in my best Kellish, okay. And I kind of translate that out to...
Well, first, they offer you a handkerchief, because that sounded like bless you.
It's a very phlegmy language.
They quickly explain the situation, which is what you could have guessed. Zemirian pirates, or privateers, barely legal, have attacked them. They were merely, shipping some Kadirian goods under the Kadirian merchant flag. Innocently, please ignore the slaves that are like, popping out the hatch and like swimming madly back towards Kadira. Nothing illegal here.
Nothing to see. Move along.
That's right.
So, do any of them look injured?
No.
And if they're all in like good shape, I will still try to kind of herd them up away from the bank just to make sure that nobody catches an arrow in the face on accident.
The ship does seem to be concentrating on the other ship. It does not seem to be interested in people that are getting away. Now, there are some unfortunate people yelling and screaming and clashing steel on said ship who are trying to stand their ground. Probably the officers who, own it, or will get in so much trouble if they swim home and come back without the ship to their government. But some merchants and some crew have taken a life raft, probably immediately, given the time delay, and have made it to shore. They bailed. There are people in the water, people jumping over. There's fighting on the ship. Part of the ship has caught a flame, and you do see the proverbial loincloth, naked, really gaunt-looking dude. Some of them are like wiggling out of portholes, and some are just jumping off the ship unarmed and just swimming randomly. But they are all swimming south to your side of the river, to Kadira, not to Taldor.
Okay, so I'll make sure to call out to him. This way! This way!
Okay. Now, as I said before, the boat is immediately being relaunched and heading back to the merchant ship.
Yep.
Is there anything about that?
Well, since I can do not much as far as sea captaining, and I can't swim worth a damn, and nope, I'll just take care of these guys right here.
Okay.
Just in case, some soldiers do manage to make it to shore and try to, deal with these guys, I'll protect them.
So you're using your horse and your gallantry to herd people and keep an eye on them and sort of cover their retreat?
Yeah.
Very gallant of you. Sure, why not? Sounds good.
And he's giving one hell of a stink eye from the shore.
I am.
Okay.
I'm throwing shade, you may say.
Are there such things as horseshoes of water walking?
Yes.
Yes.
See, we could have like a cavalier line taking down ships.
Yes. We could charge a ship.
Yeah, we could. That'd be awesome.
Heck, the Ghost Rider archetype.
The Cavalier Pirates of Taldor.
Level.
Aquanauts, assemble!
I mean, just wait till we get like horseshoes of like airwalking. Those are fun.
Oh yeah.
I charge from the sky. Wait, it'll be like Flight of the Valkyries. Dun, 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 dun.
I invent the helicopter.
No, but seriously though, we should put some serious thought into that.
We're going to. We're level 1. Once we get a couple more levels into us, right? Yeah, yes. There'll be riders in the sky.
If you survive.
Let you know how much it is.
All I've promised the public is that we will take an honest attempt at an entire Cavalier party and will not stop. But I didn't say anything about replenishing your ranks and having you guys constantly make up another Cavalier and another Cavalier.
Space Force.
The Space Force.
What if we charge the stars?
Well, that would be what we would call a Patreon goal. When we reach a certain goal, we shall start a Starfinder podcast that we have already discussed. A very unusual Starfinder podcast that will not run presented material and a mix. Not a homebrew, but definitely what we think is an original storyline. If and when, when. Not if, when.
Gotta shoot for the stars.
When we get Patreon up and running later this year. But for right now, following Lord Gildevarsh's stink-eyed gaze across the river, not to the merchant ship, but to the attacking vessel, the helmsman asks, "What is it, Captain? What do you see?" Standing next to the helmsman, spyglass in hand, a female Captain Sephiri, tall, beautiful woman in her late 40s, long reddish-brown hair, the prominent tricorn captain's hat upon her head, a long blue with silver and gold trim captain's coat, tall, thigh-high boots, gazes along the river, watching the receding lifeboats, slaves, and her eye settles upon a man. Not just any man, but a lord on a horse.
Yeah, get over there. Drawing my sword, kind of gathering everybody up. Come this way, to safety.
Now, what is this all about? She says, muttering to herself, questioning the scene that's playing out before her, then answering the helmsman question. Is it something we need worry about, Captain? Then she squints, catching the blazoned symbol of Sarenrae upon his shield, and she scowls. In anger, she folds up her eyeglass and turns and begins immediately barking more orders to her crew. Send the second wave of porters! Put out those fires! We claim that ship now! And a row of huzzah and charge forward as her second boarding party mounts ropes and gangplanks and finishes off what's left of the defiant crew. Less than an hour later, 2 ships, now one no longer flying the banner of the Quadrian Merchant, turn and sail along the Taladian border towards the open inner sea. The captain facing astern, watching the shore as the lone horseman remains, ensuring the safety of crew, merchant, and slave alike. Why do all the female captains hate our cast instantly? Oh, I don't know.
Hate is just a variant of love, my friend.
Yep. Just as long as you make a strong impression out of the gate.
She thinks about me all the time.